What is anxiety? If I was to ask 10 people what anxiety was, I'm sure I would get 10 different answers. And I've learnt this through working with many different people that present themselves with anxiety. For some, it might be elevated heart rate, heart palpitations, might be sweaty hands. For others, it might be a lack of motivation, task paralysis. Anxiety presents itself to different people in different ways. Ultimately, this is our body's automatic response system to keep us safe that's got a little bit out of control. So it's a perfectly normal process, but why do many people seem to have such severe symptoms when it comes to anxiety? Well, part of that is because fish don't see the water that they swim in. And like many of our bodily functions, our breathing, for example, we don't notice our breathing most of the time throughout the day. But you might have noticed it now I've mentioned it. And you might become aware of your breathing if we were to sit down and do some meditation and I asked you to start taking some long breaths in and out. All of a sudden, you become aware of a process that's ongoing and runs naturally throughout the day. And when clients present themselves with anxiety, this is always the first step that I will take, is to get them to see the water that they swim in. What do I mean by that? Self-awareness, conscious awareness of thoughts. Most of the time, we don't actually realise that we're worrying. We don't realise that our thought processes and concern about a future situation or a situation we're going through, we don't understand that we're actually almost in a victim mentality and we're overthinking and over worrying. So the first process is to start to analyse them thoughts. That might be through journaling, to be able to identify situations where anxiety feels maybe at its worst during the week, or when we have total lack of motivation. What are the thoughts that are going through our mind? And to firstly become aware of our thought processes and what's going through our head at this time when we're experiencing these anxious thoughts. So if you're struggling with anxiety on a daily basis, or in the job that you do, or any part of your life, start to become aware of the water that you swim in. Start to make a mental note of what you're thinking during that process. Ask yourself, are these thoughts, are they facts about the situation, or are they fears about the situation? And have a look at what your automatic responses might be. What you normally do in these situations. What's that automatic response? And what's the likelihood outcome of that automatic response? We can then ask ourselves, what are my other options? What other options do I have? What other responses do I have that I could take? And what are the likely outcomes of that? These questions that we ask ourselves about our anxious thoughts help us become aware of the water that we're swimming.